As the ghost host with the most, the Spirit Conclave represents the kind of Wraith Construct-centric army you might see from the Iyanden craft world. If you want to go against type with the Eldar and instead take a tanky, small model count army, the lumbering Wraith constructs of the Spirit Conclave might be the army for you. We'd like to thank Games Workshop for providing us with a preview copy of these rules for review purposes. If you'd like to read more about these Wraithbone boys, head on over to goonhammer.com. Link in the description. Detachment Rule: Shepherds of the Dead. Each time an Asuryani Psyker model is destroyed, generate a Vengeful Dead token on the attacking unit, and for the rest of the battle, all Wraith constructs will benefit from a +1 to hit and wound against units with 1 or more tokens. In addition, Asuryani Psykers gain a 12-inch Spirit Guides aura ability that enables Wraith constructs, excluding Wraith Knights who already have it, to gain battle focus abilities. The buff here is obviously strong on units which already have powerful attacks, but it's not a very reliable trigger for a couple of reasons. First, the trigger requires the loss of a Psyker, which either requires a sacrifice or a misplay for the opportunity to even happen, but also will be extremely limited in the total number of Vengeful Dead tokens you can even generate based on your army list. Second, your opponent can game this to some extent by controlling which units they use to kill your Psykers, like intentionally using a less valuable unit to pick up the token. The hit bonus will often be wasted on Wraithguard, but Wraithlords and Wraith Knights may still benefit as the datasheet abilities for Psychic Guidance on Wraithlords give a ballistic and weapon skill modifier, effectively stacking for a +2 to hit. The other half of this rule is more subtle. Wraith armies tend to be slow, and gaining battle focus is not just a bonus to movement, but also to defense. A block of already difficult to shift Wraith units picking up a fadeback option is nice to have in your back pocket, especially as they can mount up in a Wave Serpent or a Spirit Seer can heal them. These enhancements can only go on Spirit Seers, but other Asuryani Psykers like Farseers and Warlocks will still benefit from the detachment rules. Light of Clarity gives a boost to the OC of your Wraith constructs, which can be useful for flipping objectives or just holding ground with such a low model count army. Stave of Kurnos lets one of your non-Titanic Wraith units gain precision on any attacks that cause critical wounds. It has some play with D-Scythe Wraithguard or Wraith Blades in the right situation. It's always good to make tough units tougher, and Rune of Mists can help with that, giving one of your units cover so long as attacks are coming from 18 inches or more away. That said, there's no shortage of cover on most table layouts. Higher Duty is a pretty standard reactive move, letting your Spirit Seer move up to 6 inches after an enemy unit comes within 9 inches. It would be a load more useful if said Spirit Seer could join Wraith units, and it's a lot to save a single Bone Wizard. The stratagems here range from table control to boosting damage output. Seer's Eye requires some setup, but it lets you get the most out of your low number of attacks, ignoring any armor penetration and damage modifiers. -1 damage can absolutely shut down your Wraithblades or Hemlocks, so this is a good one to have. Wraithbone Armor is a damage reduction stratagem, reducing incoming damage on one of your non-Titanic Wraith constructs by 1. It's just an all-around good stratagem to have. Blades from Beyond gives one of your Wraithblades, Wraithlords, or Wraith Knights devastating wounds on their melee weapons for a phase. Wraithblades are probably the best use here, since they have the volume of attacks to potentially take advantage of this. It could also be a fun combo with the Stave of Kurnos for some precision too. Soul Bridge lets one of your Wraith units benefit from Psychic Guidance, even if they don't have a Psyker babysitter around. Psychic Guidance is extremely important to make Wraith units work, and it gives the army some flexibility to be effective while branching out. Spirit Token is a sticky objective stratagem, and one you'll likely be using every single game with such a low model count army. Crushing Strides is a tank shock-like stratagem, letting some of your Wraith units cause mortal wounds on the charge. The bigger the Wraith, the more dice you roll. It's great for squeezing out a little more damage or to enable some fight phase chicanery if you can kill the charge target and pile into a second unit. This is going to be an expensive army to field. Your units are generally going to be pricier than those of the typical detachment, and they absolutely depend on character support from your Psykers. That has a twofold effect. First, you're just going to have fewer units. Second, the units you bring will not be packing a large volume of attacks, and while they're quality attacks, they'll be at the mercy of your dice. Rerolls are hard to come by, but there is a lot of opportunity to boost your hit rolls between datasheet and Psyker boosts. Wraithlords in particular will benefit from a ballistic skill and weapon skill bonus in addition to hit boosts. The army will also not be as flexible or independent as some other detachments, and you'll run the risk of spreading yourself too thin. However, what you get in return is an army that is exceptionally durable, can actually sit and hold a primary objective, and can absolutely murder just about anything in the game. While they won't gain a ton of benefits, both Wraith Knight options are fairly flexible on the table, particularly the Ghostglaive variant, which can stride through a ruin and charge whatever dares to stand behind it. Ensuring you can protect your units and heal them up will be important to carry forward the oomph well into turn 5. If you can, you'll be on the road to victory. Now let's go over the strengths and weaknesses. There's some strong mobility options to boost your slower Wraith units. There's also strong synergistic benefits for Spirit Seer and Wraith units. Plus some good boost to offensive output, particularly for D-Scythes and Wraith Knights. Now unfortunately, Wraith-heavy lists will still carry low volumes of attacks where a round of bad dice might be challenging to overcome. There's also a situational use of abilities which make it difficult to plan proactively. And we've said it before, but this is a low model count detachment. If you're a Ghost Boy fan, then yeah, you're gonna like this detachment. For most other Eldar players, it's gonna be a little too stiff to be an every game type of army and more of a sometimes food, a fun little treat for when you want to try something new. It'll be fun either way, and it's likely to be a competitive option, even if it won't upend the entire meta. If you'd like to read more about these spectral fellows and the wizards who love them, head on over to goonhammer.com for more info and a sample army list. If you really like what we do, you can also support us on Patreon for Discord access, early event tickets, and more goodies. I've been Construct McWraithbone, and I've got a couple of Spirit Stones for you right here. Thanks for watching.